Now, I don't know what Australia did to deserve this, but we've not only had the insufferable Kamala Harris visit the country twice since her failed presidential campaign, now we've got another insufferable whinger, Michelle Obama, making the trip down under. And you can hear her speak about just how awful her life was in the White House, how terrible it was to have a glam squad and be called upon to attend events. The inhumanity, I don't know how that poor woman survived. And for the measly price of $445, you can hear Michelle whinge endlessly about her charmed life. The cheapest tickets to these speaking engagements are $195, a bargain to hear profound musings like this. Here is Michelle in conversation with Jenna Bush.
Say in the book, I kept my hair straight throughout the White House years so it would not be a distraction or a talking point. I knew there was absolutely no way that the first Black First Lady could show up in braids. Was that a hard choice for you?
You know, it wasn't hard because the job was more important than the statement.
Right.
I wanted to make sure that my work spoke before my clothes or the way I showed up in the world, although I knew that the clothes sent a message.
Yes.
Joining me now is author and founder of Wrong Speak Publishing, Adam B. Coleman. Adam, I cannot imagine what sort of sad fool would be paying hundreds of dollars to hear Michelle Obama, who I think has really damaged her brand in recent years by doing so many of these interviews, doing her own podcast, and just endlessly whinging, often about trivial things.
Yeah, I mean, she's still popular amongst a certain sector, especially amongst liberals. They like her for what she represents. They like her. Maybe there are times that she gives some sort of inspirational advice, at least in their eyes. From my perspective, I think that she complains a lot. And I find that she is incredibly disrespectful to her husband and is not necessarily modeling what a good marriage looks like, the way she talks about at least how she used to see him. When she says that she spent 10 years not liking him, that's not really a good example of a strong long-term relationship.
Well, much of the whinging, you're right, has been centred around Barack, and she's complained about everything, including how he chooses food. Now, let's get to the biggest news of the day, the shocking attack on National Guardsmen in D.C. near the White House. Now, the alleged gunman has been ID'd. He is an Afghan national, Rahmanullah Lakanval, who came to the US in the aftermath of the botched 2021 withdrawal by the Biden administration. Adam, this is being talked about and investigated as a possible terror event.
Yeah, it's still early on. This has just happened a matter of hours ago. And I usually like to say, give it 24 hours, more accurate information will come out. It's incredibly tragic to hear that this happened to our servicemen, especially in our nation's capital, when they are there to help to keep that city safe. And while everyone, especially the Democrats, wanted to make this an attempt, they wanted to make the National Guardsmen being there as only being a political show. The reality is that it made the city safer. And even just their presence, even if it looks like, as someone complained online, even if it looks like they're just picking up trash because they don't have anything to do, their presence matters. And regardless, they don't deserve to die because someone is holding some sort of grudge.
Oh, no. I mean, and the crime rate came down dramatically after they went to DC. That's undeniable. And even the mayor admitted that, and she was not in favour of them coming. Obviously, she's a Democrat mayor. Now, the alleged gunman, law enforcement authorities have said he opened fire and struck a female guard in the chest before shooting her in the head. He then fired at and struck the second guard before a third guard rushed to the scene and took him down. Now, this man was given sanctuary in the US after the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan. He entered the US under the Operation Allies Welcome program. Adam, it just shocks me that anybody who has been extended that kindness would repay that with this sort of behaviour. He was given a chance at a new life that so many other Afghans would have done anything for.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Being an immigrant and a refugee in any country is a privilege, not a right. And so, when you get welcomed to any country, if I go to some country as a refugee or as an immigrant, I should have a little bit of an allegiance to that nation that's given me a chance. But I will say, I have a lot of questions, even though this is early on. I have a lot of questions about the Biden administration actually vetting these people. What was the vetting process? Did they actually look into him and see what did he do? Was he one of those people who were just grabbing at the airplane and just trying to jump on just so they can get out of Afghanistan? But what was this man's ideology? What did he actually believe? What did he do to actually help us? These are things that we don't have the answers to today, but I wouldn't be surprised if we know more about him in a matter of 24 to 48 hours.
Absolutely. And I remember at the time there was a great deal of criticism that these individuals weren't being vetted properly. The vetting was sloppy, sometimes near non-existent. So that was certainly criticism at the time. And you're right, in the coming days, I'm sure we'll find out a lot more. Now, I want to play you this clip from Democrat Elissa Slotkin on ABC. This was just over the weekend, just a few days ago. And here she is scaremongering about National Guardsmen, suggesting they may start shooting at American civilians.
These videos coming out of places like Chicago, it makes me incredibly nervous that we're about to see people in law enforcement, people in uniform military get nervous, get stressed, shoot at American civilians. It is a very, very stressful situation for these law enforcement and for the communities on the ground.
Adam, just how reckless has been the rhetoric of Democrats, activists, the media in whipping up hate and fear of law enforcement officers?
They've been incredibly reckless. The reality is that the top two issues that voters care about is safety and the economy, right? And our law enforcement is something that most Americans want to make sure that they have access to and they can call upon. And they want to make sure that their streets are safe. When she is setting up a premise that one day these men might start shooting at, citizens just cause they just woke up on the wrong side of the bed, or because Donald Trump rang them and said, start shooting people, as if that's going to be a thing, it's incredibly reckless. It's incredibly dangerous to set up that premise. But I will say, the man who pulled the trigger on these servicemen and women, he is responsible for his actions. What the Democrats are doing is not helping this country whatsoever. And if they keep at this, we cannot be shocked if this happens again with someone who is from stateside, who is following some sort of propaganda nonsense that is coming from the left.
Now, let's end on a lighter note. Here is President Donald Trump pardoning turkeys, a Thanksgiving tradition. But this year, there was a bit of a twist.
He used an auto pen last year for the turkey's pardon. So I have the official duty to determine, and I have determined that last year's turkey pardons are totally invalid, as are the pardons of about every other person that was pardoned other than where's Hunter?
The president also pardoned two more turkeys. Here is President Trump with a turkey named Gobble.
Are you ready? Gobble. I just want to tell you this, very important. You are hereby unconditionally pardoned.
He really is the funniest president, Adam, and he just adds an extra element to these traditions.
Yeah, it's funny, as someone who used to be a Democrat, when you lose that Trump derangement syndrome, you start seeing him as he's a flawed human being who has a sense of humor, right? He's just like everybody else. And he's an American icon for a reason. He's always had a sense of humor. He's always schmoozed with the right people. He's always lifted people up who are around him. But he's also been bombastic, right? He's a mixed bag. But yes, he is definitely funny, sometimes accidentally funny, and sometimes purposefully funny. But he has great timing. Absolutely.
His comedic timing is very good. I've got to say it. I've heard comics, very good comics, say his comedic timing is masterful. Adam B. Coleman, always a pleasure. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.